production. In some games, it's just not going to fall that way. But I love how he stayed after it and made some really big plays for us.
Thank you.
Hi, Sean. More generally speaking, I guess, I mean, there's so much of an overreaction between week 1 or week 2 and the early portion of a season. And it's kind of been one extreme to another for your football team. We talk about forming an identity. I know it's a cliche, but what does yesterday's performance, now that you've looked at the film, maybe represent in terms of that process to reaching and executing an identity? How close are you based on what you've seen?
Well, I think it takes shape over a handful of weeks, really. Maybe it's, 3, 4, 5, maybe sometimes even 6 weeks, just to get a feel for who you are, this team this year, with the personnel we have this year. And yesterday, I think, was a step in the right direction. Physical at the line of scrimmage, complementing both run and the pass game, and taking the ball away on defense. So it's some of what we want to become. We're not there yet. It is week 2, as you mentioned, Adam, and I think you're spot on with that.
With regard to, you have such an established program and a track record of success. Are you maybe further along in that process? Is there kind of a cumulative effect as each team develops year to year?
You want that to be the case, but if you're not careful, you get out and assume that it's the case, and it's really not, because it really has to be built every year. And it was good to do it in front of our home crowd yesterday. I'll tell you what, they were awesome.
All right, Sean, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, Tim Graham here. I wanted to ask what it's like after a game like that, when so many people contributed in such a good way that everybody gets involved, not only because that's fun to do, but to have it happen so early in the season. You have Cook with the most yards, but each of the other 2 running backs get a touchdown. Kincaid has more yards than Dawson Knox, but Knox gets the touchdown. 9 different receivers. The whole thing about just everybody got to have fun yesterday. And it's something that is probably really important after a game like Monday night. Can you just maybe explain how that helps an organization for the next, even just a couple days?
Right. I mean, it really speaks of an unselfish approach and a mindset, really, of this is what we're planning to do during the week, and then executing that on game day. I know it sounds easier than it is, but it really starts with a mindset, and then people staying as unselfish as they possibly can throughout the course of the week, when their roles may not be what they want them to be, but also remaining ready to go when their number is called in the game, whether it's early or late.
And then I wanted to ask regarding Spencer Brown. He's a guy who's in the spotlight every week, gets the scrutiny. What did you see from him when you've turned on the film? And I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I thought he really had the right mental approach for the game. And when you play Crosby, it's a full day affair, and he's going to go all game long, inside, outside, run into the ball, and you got to be prepared to go all day long, knowing that you're not going to win every contest, every play, but you got to be able to stay mentally tough. And I think that was a huge step for Spencer. Not every play was the way he wanted it to be, but he worked extremely hard and stayed mentally tough throughout.
And just to elaborate real quick, my last question, Sean, do you think, or is that something that he's had trouble with in the past? Maybe holding on to a play too long, and it ends up sticking with him for the whole game? Well,
I think that's just the nature of a young player, really, generally speaking. And again, it's a hard job to play in the NFL, and I mean, you're going against great competition every week, and in particular at a spotlight position like offensive tackle. And there's no one out there that can save you. It's a lot like playing corner on the defensive side. So you've got to have a short memory and be able to reset.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, just a quick injury update. Did you have anything on Leonard Floyd, Micah Hyde, those two guys in particular,
Yeah,
or
just
anybody else?
they'll be day to day. That's the update I have for you today.
And, it's coincidence that I got Tim asked about Spencer Brown. I was actually going to ask you about Osiris Torrance. I know that he got some praise after the first game, despite the outcome, but what have you seen from him as he's kind of slowly grown into this role?
Yeah, very poised, very focused, business-like approach. So for a young player, a rookie in particular in this case, to come in with that type of demeanor, he's given himself a chance to, again, go against good competition and hold his own to this point with the hopes that he'll continue to grow each and every week if he continues with that approach. And this week will be a big test for our offensive line. They've got a very talented, I think, a bunch of high draft picks along their defensive front there.
Thank you, Sean.
Yes, good afternoon, Coach George Radney, Challenger Community News. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good. How are you, George?
Great. Just following up on the question on Osiris Torrance was one there, but got a different question for you. I noticed Josh Allen yesterday spiked the ball into the ground once the play was blown up. He just boom, spiked it into the ground, similar to a Tom Brady type move. And I'm wondering why is it that's the first time I can ever, in the 6 years he's been quarterback, that I can remember seeing him give up on the play and get ready for the next one. I'm just wondering, why is it taking them so long to realize to use the tools that the NFL has built in to protect the quarterback in today's NFL game?
Yeah, you're very aware and smart with what you saw, what you're talking about. I mean, knowing when a play is basically over before it's over is half the battle playing quarterback sometimes. And being able to say, hey, I'm going to live to play another down. I think that was first down on the one you're referring to. And their defense did a good job of sniffing it out. And so I thought that was a good show of discipline from Josh's standpoint.
Yes, indeed. And hopefully it continues as well. And last point on the defensive side, it seems like the defense tends to give up a big play early in the first two games, and then they tend to settle down. Is that just, you think, nerves or just coming out to start the game a little bit, maybe too jacked up, and then they settle down and settle into the game plan?
I think, I just got to put them in a better position a little bit there too, and help them out. And then just execution, right? So it goes hand in hand.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time. Good luck this coming week.
Okay. Thanks, George.
Hey, Sean. I know you touched yesterday after the game on how the run game's really a team effort, but I was wondering what you did just make of the different running backs yesterday, how they were effective and kind of used their different skill sets to help y'all.
Yeah, I was very pleased and impressed with the balance there. Really, they're all similar but all different. I think with Tay, you get a lot of veteran leadership, and you could feel him when he went into the game. I think it was maybe on our first or second touchdown, and all three really pride themselves on the protection, the pass protection piece as well, and catching the ball out of the backfield. So I think they've done a really good job. Coach Skipper's done a good job with them.
And then I was just curious, what was it like rewatching Matt Milano's interception? What did you see when you got to see that from different angles?
Yeah, again, was as impressed after the game as I was watching it unfold during the game. I actually had a pretty good vantage point to see it unfold, and just amazing. It's weird though, because I almost expected Matt to do that when I saw the position he was in, and he's so strong. People don't give him the credit for his strength, and that's what he did. So that was a great play.
How often do you find yourself thinking something like that might happen, especially when it's as absurd of a play as it was?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a right place, right time. Matt did his part with the coverage aspect, and again, he's so competitive. Like, when he's around the ball, he's got a nasty streak to him, and he's going to do whatever it takes to get the ball away from the player.
Sweet. Thanks, Sean.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. What did you think of the collective performance of the defensive line yesterday? Obviously, the run defense stats stand out, but it also felt like even though they didn't get a sack, that they were affecting Garoppolo at times too. Just that entire group's effort. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it started up front with the run game. Let's just start there. They controlled the line of scrimmage, played well at the point of attack, which was a point of emphasis during the week. And Eric's done a really good job of making sure we establish gap integrity early in the year, early in the season. And that's something we've got to continue to do every week. And then, no sacks on the stat sheet, but to me, it's really about affecting the quarterback. And when you get your hands up, you tip passes. The ball was already coming out fast. Garoppolo likes to get the ball out fast, and then also uses checkdowns instead of taking, some of those sacks. So, I thought the guys really did a good job for the most part. We let some third and longs get out a little bit on us, which shouldn't have happened. But we just need to continue to execute in that detail to that down.
Do you get a sense from that group that playing without Von here early in the season that they are inspired to kind of show that they can do this thing, and then, get even better when he gets back?
Well, I think a lot of, I think they heard a lot about how they didn't do X, Y, and Z from you guys at the end of last season. So you can keep talking. You guys can keep talking about that, and maybe that'll motivate them even more. We'll see.
All right, I'll do my part. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Jay.
Hey, Sean. It's kind of out there now that you challenged the defense yesterday. Is that based on giving up a couple big runs against the Jets? Is it facing them back like Josh Jacobs? What kind of went into your challenge to the defense yesterday?
It's really just about us. Really, had nothing to do with the opponent as much as we respected the opponent last week, and it's really about us trying to continue to grow as a defense. And I thought they really did some good things in that first week of the season this year, but you can't sit where you are and be satisfied with it either. So you got to stay hungry in your approach on a week-to-week basis, really.
Even if it's not talked about, is there a little extra juice when it comes to facing a guy like that? Because I think you guys have done that in the past with guys, like Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb, just hold them in check.
Yeah, I mean, when you take pride in things, and certainly there's good players on the other side of the ball every week, and this week there's another good back or two that Washington has. So it'll be another challenge for us this week, and stopping the run is huge to control the line of scrimmage.
Thanks.
Yep.
That's all the questions today. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Hi, Ken. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great. We'll go ahead and get started with questions. Everybody, please raise your hand if you have a question. First question will be from Catherine.
Hey, Ken. Just wanted to start generally with what you made of the run game yesterday, getting different guys involved there.
Yeah, I think when we got the room that we have, I think we can really work a number of different combinations, and all three of those guys complement each other so well that I think it's a really great room to be able to rotate guys in and everybody get involved and get touches. And when you're having the first and second down production, whether it's run or pass, you're able to stay in those rhythms and be able to do those types of things.
And then kind of expanding on that, just so many guys were involved in the offense yesterday. How important was that to do early on in the season, just to, spread the ball around?
Yeah, and I think we talked about it too, or earlier in the week. Anytime you can look at a stat sheet and multiple guys have multiple catches or multiple carries and are contributing like we were able to do, I think that's important for an offense. There is only one ball, and I think what we really try to preach to those guys is staying disciplined and being unselfish. And sometimes it's going to be you helping another guy get open, and then sometimes it's going to be even when you don't think you're the primary guy in the concept, the ball could be coming to you. So we just got to continue to be unselfish, continue to trust what we're doing, and I think all those different things will take care of themselves.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Ken, I was curious, going into the game, was it kind of the plan to try and take those shorter throws for Josh after last week when it was a lot more downfield, or was that kind of what the defense presented him? Like, how did that end up working out?
I think he just did a great job working progressions and making good decisions. I think at the end of the day, we called some downfield stuff, and they were getting soft, and he did a great job taking the underneath throws when they did. And then when we did have an opportunity to take a shot, he took that shot, and Steph did a great job creating contact and getting the penalty out of it. But we want to be able to attack all areas of the field, and I think it's important to. I think it's important to be able to throw the ball short, intermediate, deep, so a team can't just come up and play you tight or just think back and know you're not going to work underneath. So we just got to do our best to make sure we're trusting our reads, trusting our progressions, and continue to attack a defense multiple ways.
From your perspective, and like knowing obviously what the play calls are, and like what Josh's progressions are, like was there a big difference to you between the decisions he was making week 1 versus week 2? Like, did you notice something different yesterday in terms of like his approach to, what throws he was making, which ones he wasn't versus the first game?
I think at the end of the day, it just felt like when watching him out there, it just felt like watching him. He was more comfortable. He was just just kind of back in the groove of playing, a regular season football again. It's hard to simulate in practice and in preseason games at times, but it just felt like he was, felt more comfortable out there, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I think he did a great job just kind of being decisive with the ball and doing those types of things that we trust him to do. And I think, like I talked about last week, whether I'm calling shots or whether I'm calling intermediate throws or short throws or run game with RPOs or whatever, I trust him an incredible amount to make decisions. And if for some reason something bad does happen, I trust him to learn from it and bounce back and stay confident and keep making good decisions. So that's where I'm at with him, and I think he just continues to. Like everybody, whether it's your first year or your 20th year, just continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to grow in this league because you can continue to do that, I think, no matter where you're at in your career.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Ken. The Shakir touchdown pass from Josh. When you look back at that on tape, and it looks like, he kind of felt the pressure, was looking to run for a moment, and then kind of picked back up and noticed Shakir. I mean, how much do you, not only in game, take that play from him and see that growth week over week, but then also able to take that back to the film room and kind of hammer that point home with him moving forward, because it was such a next level play? Yeah,
there's no doubt. I think coaching's about, correcting the good and bad, or or not correcting the good, but showing the good stuff and emphasizing that, but then also making the corrections of the stuff that we need to improve on. And I think that was an important play for us to really coach off of, because it was not only decision wise, hey, knowing where all your guys are going to be and trust that they're going to be there, but also ball location wise. It's over the middle, it's later in the play, and the ball's low where it's an us or nobody ball, a ball that's not going to get tipped up in the air or anything like that. So not only celebrating and pointing out, hey, the decision was good, and knowing where you're going to go is good when, hey, your primaries aren't there, but then also just ball location and little details of things, and the technique of it, of his base and still having a good base and being able to get his back hip and shoulder through the throw to get enough on it. So there's a lot of things that, every single play you're coaching off of, from a decision-making standpoint to a ball placement to a technique standpoint, that we'll always continue to do.
And then just from a fun perspective, there was a video that came out of the broadcast with you celebrating after a touchdown, a little bit different than the last one that was out there. I was curious, Stefan was talking about a couple of weeks ago how much it might have been actually last week in the podcast, how much he loved that. And it was something that he likes to know, that his offensive coordinator is that invested. I was wondering if you had any fun conversations with players, or even Kyle, who was sitting next to you, who looked like watching you from the side.
No, I mean, I haven't talked to any guys about it or whatever, but it's an emotional game, and I probably, I tell Steph all the time, him and I are probably a lot alike in a lot of ways. We this game means a lot to us, and I hope that every single guy, that I coach and that is in this locker room, it means a lot to them too. It's guys put a lot of work into it, and so when they go out and, I mean, they put it on the line, like their bodies and their souls, every single game. And as a coach, like, when you see that, you get so excited about it and so grateful for that. So, you want to be able to celebrate it and enjoy it with those guys too. It's just sometimes a little harder up in the box.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Ken, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. Obviously, you scored 38 points. There isn't a lot to nitpick. Maybe the only play would have been the 4th and goal at the 1 that you could kind of second guess a little bit. I know you don't want to get too scheme specific in your answer, but if you could, maybe just in as specific as you can, what do you like about being in shotgun there versus not being in shotgun, being under center? And if you could identify maybe what went wrong in that situation and how you would correct that going forward.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right there is we were trying to give Josh some options on some runaways, routes when we were anticipating a certain coverage. So, we got a look that we felt comfortable with on the play. Had a lot of guys, running away on some crossing routes and things like that to give him options to work through the read. So, it was just kind of one of those things where we felt good about those options for him and for our execution on a play that we've repped throughout camp and throughout the preparation the previous week and this week, and had a lot of reps on in order to go ahead and execute. So that was the thought process, giving them something that we felt good about and they knew really well leading into the game. And just from a execution standpoint, just making sure we're being as firm as we can right there to step up and be firm in the pocket to make sure that hey, we can work that progression and make an accurate throw.
Thanks, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken, Tim Graham from The Athletic here. I wanted to ask your thoughts when you saw Josh hurdle again yesterday.
Yeah, no, I think obviously it's something we'll continue to preach with them and talk with them about of time and a place, on if that were 4th down or something like that, it might be a different story. But then, the other thing too is not only his body, just a ball security standpoint that we've talked to him about, but we'll continue to make sure, hey, there's a time and a place for it. I think overall, he did a lot of good things to make sure, he was taking care of himself and being smart with his body. It's just those times where we want to make sure we're, especially in those situations where we've got more downs to, continue to emphasize, hey, let's be smart. Let's make sure we're taking care of ourselves. And if it's live to fight another day, it's live to fight another day.
What would the camera have showed of your reaction on that play?
At that time, honestly, it's you're kind of focused on what the next play call is going to be. So honestly, at the time, I was just kind of preparing myself for the next call, and depending on what happened on that play, because there's a lot of different scenarios, obviously, that could happen on each play. So having a couple calls ready and then talking to talking about it in the at the break there.
And then my last question, when you were 1 yard away from the goal line, you did a bunch of different things. Josh Allen running there is what I think people have come to expect. Can you give any kind of insight regarding your philosophy when you're on the doorstep like that?
I think the biggest thing is we want to be able to do different things. We want to be able to make sure a defense can't just key in on Josh right there. We want to be able to, hey, whether it's a play action, whether it's a drop back, whether it's a run to one of the backs, whether it's a Josh run. I think the more you can run concepts that you as an offense feel very comfortable about and feel like you can execute at a high level, at the same time giving a defense different things that they have to honor, that's going to help, because running a keep down there is going to help a run play and a quarterback carrying out his fake, and running the ball is going to help the play action. And then a Josh run just adds another element that they've got to be able to be aware of, So I think the more that you could do down there at the same time, making sure you can execute those things at a high level is critical for an offense.
Thank you, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken, wanted to ask a little bit about Josh also. We talked so much last week, obviously, about kind of how he bounces back from a game like that, whether it was talking to him, to you, other coaches, teammates. What do you do for a week like this where, he was candid after the game of he used week one as fuel. He said it benefited him in ways. So how do you now, just since it's like such a different approach, I know he's self-motivated, but what are you kind of telling him this week to continue a trend instead of trying to bounce back?
I think not only him, but the whole offense and the whole team, we've got to take that same approach and same mindset. I think mindset is a huge part of NFL football, and how you approach not only game day, but Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and those different days, and what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So I think, and look, at the end of the day, our guys do a great job each and every week in their preparation. But I think, if you have a certain edge about you and a certain focus and a certain mindset going into the week, and you maintain that, I think it's only going to help you. So I think preaching that and making sure our guys understand, look, at the end of the day, we're in the third game of the season. You haven't even finished a quarter of the season yet. And, before it was 16 games, you break it out in quarters. Now you're breaking it out in quarters and in overtime. But, it's you still have that understanding. This is game 3, and we still have a long way to go. And, you take each week for what it is. It's a one season week, and we've got to focus on this week, and we've got to have that same mindset edge to us in order to come out and compete against a team that is on a roll right now.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Good afternoon, Coach Dorsey. George Radney, Challenger Community News.
How you doing, George?
Good. And yourself?
Good, thank you.
Great. Question. 2 quick questions. Was it your suggestion during the offseason to move to a 2 tight end set more or less? Were you one of the key components to moving in that direction?
Well, I think that was just that's something that happened in the draft where a player like Dalton was available, and kind of things when they fall to you in the draft like that. I think Brandon does a great job in taking the best player available. So when he was available there, I think Brandon did a great job going and getting him, and that created that opportunity to be in a little bit more 12 based on that type of personnel that we were able to acquire.
All right. And last but not least, no, because even in the Jets game, I thought both games you called a very good game. Both 2 games, excellent play calling. And I was wondering, it seems to create a lot of mismatches out on the field. Do you during the week, is that what you do? Look at your opponent and look and see where you can come up with mismatches? Now that you got these both 2 tight ends and also a few Gabe Davis and other options coming out of the backfield as well.
No, I think you're exactly right. I think the more you can create mismatches and create opportunities to move guys around and do some different things, it helps an offense, and being able to do those things in both the run and the pass game and tie those things together, I think helps you. So I think you're exactly right. I think whether it's moving Steph around, Gabe around, tight ends around, Trent and Hardy and different guys, I think that creates some issues to a defense that, hey, you don't know exactly where these guys are going to line up. It could be traditional, it could be in some different spots. So, hopefully that's create some struggles for them in their preparation, and we'll continue to look to do that as much as possible.
So you're now able to use these guys' assets to the best of their ability on the field even more now.
Yeah, no, and I think that's where not only guys who can do it physically but can handle it mentally, it's as important as anything, And I think we've got a great group that one is talented enough to do it, but also two, like, works extremely hard and takes a lot of pride in the mental side of things, and that's where I think this group is really special.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time and good luck this coming Sunday.
Thank you.
That's all the questions for today. Thanks, Ken.
All right. Thank you.
Recording stopped.